Welcome to the Pure Pendulum. In this video, we're going to talk about how to build an iron mindset. Now, what is an iron mindset? It's basically having the mentality of thinking more positively, thinking more relentlessly, and going after your goals with your limitless self, full of confidence, full of conviction. Now, why is this important? Because in a world that's just filled with so much stimulation, so much distraction, it's becoming increasingly hard for men, especially, to stay focused on their goals and accomplish more things in their lives. Because life is so short, guys. It's so short. We only have a finite amount of time on this planet. And we might as well just make the most out of it and maximize every single day that we can. So it's so important that we have an iron mindset in order to do that. Now, the biggest misconception that a lot of people have is that you have to always think positive and never have negative thoughts because negative thoughts are bad. Now, it is much more beneficial to think more positively and to have this mindset that's just focused on the wins. Yes, that's very important. But I'm going to explain why most people typically tend to think negatively naturally. Like, why is it so easy for us to think of the bad stuff rather than the good? And this is very common, and I'm going to explain why because there's a science behind all this. But where we're going to start first is knowing that in this world, if you want to bend reality to your favor, if you actually want to start to manifest and create that reality that you desire, making the kind of money you want to make, living the kind of life you want to live, just having that peace of mind, whatever it is, you need to understand that there's three planes of existence in the three-dimensional reality. Okay, the first is the mental plane. That's your mind and your thoughts. The second is the emotional plane. That's your feelings and all of the energy, the emotions. And then the third is the physical plane. That's your body and taking action. Now, I know I named these one, two, three, but honestly, these planes are all the same. They're just expressed in different dimensions, but they're all very important, and you need all three of these to have alignment. Is your emotions, your mental, and your physical. Now, for this video, we're going to talk a little bit, folks, focus mainly on the mental plane because we're talking about the mental and having that iron mentality. Now, the mental is all about thinking logically, right? You're just thinking about your conscious actions and what you're doing. Going back to what we talked about before, about why is it so easy and so common for people to just think negatively? Well, the reason why is because biologically, your brain in your mind, it's programmed for what? It's programmed for survival, right? If you look back way in the dawn of time from the beginning, when men was just cavemen, Neanderthals were just, you know, the most primal man in existence, we had to think in the way of survival. How can I survive? How can I avoid danger? How can I be safe in my environment? This is why, and the brain from many, many years ago up until now has evolved very minimally. Okay, the circumstances that we live in our world with technology, with all the advancements of medicine and all of these things that we have as far as resources, this has definitely changed and everything has evolved. Obviously, we have a lot of different kinds of metals and buildings and this and that. This all changed, okay, from a societal standpoint, but from a biological standpoint, our bodies and our minds have not really evolved that much. So our brain is still thinking in that way of survival. How can I avoid danger? How can I avoid being socially cast out from the tribe? How can I make sure that I'm protected with my family, with my friends, with my community, all of this stuff? And so that's the first very important thing that you need to understand is that it's okay to have these thoughts of being negative because that's just the way that things are programmed. Okay? Now, the first thing in having the iron mindset, the very first and most important thing, aside from having the awareness, now that we know, okay, our mind thinks like in survival mode, and that's just the default setting that it's going to be set at, you need to have a purpose. You need to have a purpose. You need to have a damn goal. Okay? And if you know in the Bible, right? There's that scripture that says, idle hands are the devil's workshop, right? Now, I'm not much of a Christian as much as I was before, but there's a lot of wisdom in the Bible. And this passage, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Idle, idle, idle talk. It's just purposeless. There's nothing behind it. Idle hands, you're free. You're not doing anything. Your hands are not being put to work. Your hands don't have purpose. You're not doing anything that has a mission, that has an aim towards. And idle hands are the devil's workshop, meaning that when, especially men, when we are bored, when we have nothing to do, what does that lead to? It leads to a lot of other bad stuff. Because what do we do when we're bored? What do we do when we feel aimless? We do more aimless things like doom scrolling, watching porn, or doing some substances, doing anything to kind of give us some stimulus just because we don't have a purpose. So, the very first thing that you need to do is have a purpose, have something meaningful, have something bigger than yourself to go and achieve. Because why? People are always going to give more effort into the things that they do if they're doing it from a place that has cause, if they're doing it from a place that's greater than themselves. Okay? So that's the number one thing that you have to do is have purpose. Have purpose that's bigger than yourself. Now, now it's time to get into the very practical way of how you can build your iron mindset. Now, it's going to start here. This is called a progress journal. Okay? In this journal, and I do recommend using a physical journal so that you can write it down because writing I'll get into this and I'll make a whole video on this, but writing is much more powerful than just typing it out. Okay? It's so powerful. So do that. Go get you a physical journal, get you some paper, get you a pen, and we're going to use a progress journal. Once you have your purpose, every single day you are going to take action on getting closer to your goal, your purpose, your mission. Every single day you are going to take action. And every single step, every single action step that you take on your way to your purpose, you're going to record everything that you do each day in your progress journal. Okay? And why is this very important? This is extremely important. Okay, if you want to level up, if you want to build that iron mindset, if you want to become your limitless self, make the kind of money you want to make, just do whatever you want. You got to train the most important part of yourself. It's not even a physical muscle in your body. The most important muscle that you need to train is certainty. Okay, certainty. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you feel confident doing it. That is different. That's frequency, that's energy, that's power. Okay? It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is, are you doing it confidently? Are you doing it from a place that you feel full conviction in? That is all going to be done through repetition. Okay? So here is a bit of my progress journal, right? As of now, filming this video, we're in March. Okay? This is January. I've got January here. I've got January 15th. I've got February 2, February 3rd, February 5th, February 6th, and it just keeps going. February, February. You got March. Okay? Every day you're going to write down. Let's say that your goal and your mission is to grow a business. Okay, you want to start a business, you want to grow a business. Now, types of things that you want to write down in your progress journal is going to be like, today I wrote out the mission statement for my business. Today, I took action on launching an ad. Okay, that's more powerful than planning, obviously, but it's all still good. Okay, if you're starting from zero, write down whatever. This is also important. It doesn't matter how big or small you write down your progress, your progress entries. It doesn't matter, okay? Because we're training the muscle of certainty. We're training it, okay? Just like when you go to the gym, you're not gonna put 100 kilos on the rack when you're trying to bench. All right, that's stupid. If you've never trained in the gym before, if you've never benched in your life, the last thing you want to do is put 100 kilos plates on the bar. Okay, you're gonna start small. Everything you do, you need to start small because it's the whole motion. Okay, the law of motion. The law of motion. You got to start small and start to get the momentum rolling. So start small and say, okay, I did this. I wrote out the mission statement for the business. I did some market research on the industry. I reached out to a friend for a potential collaboration. I pitched this person this idea. I designed the logo for the business. Okay. This is all great in the planning phase. But then when you actually start to do more action steps, like I published a video, I launched the product, I made an email list, I sent out a bunch of emails. The action steps is going to be even more powerful. And you're training your brain to start to think more in terms of the positives, in terms of the action steps, in terms of the opportunities, and you're not going to be thinking in survival mode, because survival mode mentality is when you're looking at being safe, okay? Staying protected, avoiding danger. And every time you think in the frame of survival mode, you're wasting all of your energy, your time, and your resources when you really should be taking action. You got to be taking action. But if you want to take confident action, if you want to take powerful action relentlessly without having any doubts, you need to start here first. And that's all about reconditioning, reprogramming your mind to have that iron mentality. This is important. Okay. And every single time you have a win, right? When you have a win, when you launch that video, when you took action on this, you want to lock in that win in your physiology, in your body. You want to lock it in your nervous system. Okay? Whole nother video on this next time, because the nervous system, this is what holds the keys to most of your success. But we want to start with building that iron mindset. And it starts with simply having a progress journal. You need to track down your wins. You need a journal and write down every positive action that you're taking moving forward. And then it's repetition. repeat, repeat, repeat. Keep on doing that every day, multiple times a day, because you've been in survival mode for many years. Don't think that you're just going to snap out of it and become limitless in like a day or two just because doing this exercise a little bit. You have to keep on training this. I've been doing this for 2 years of working on my mind, working on my limiting beliefs. If you want anything to last a lifetime, to last a long time, you need to start laying those bricks and laying that foundation. It takes time, but it's so worth it. Okay? I hope this was valuable for you. Get your progress journal, get a pen, get a paper, like actually write it out and keep on working at it again and again and again. I promise you it's going to make a huge difference to your life. Like this video if this resonated with you in some way. Drop down a comment, share it with a friend. Find me on Instagram here, link in the description below, and I'll see you on the next one.